So today we are working on the LS swapped Honda Accord, and who would have known that my Honda Ruckus could pull a stance car?
And now, you're watching the When Given the Calorie Count of Corn, Do They Consider the Fact That You're Not Going to Be Digesting All of It? Channel of YouTube. Welcome to Bodie Vision.
Hey, so what is up? What's happening? What's crapping? And what is going on? So today, like I just mentioned, we are actually going to be working on the 1988 LS swapped Honda Accord, sitting right here looking phenomenal, getting everything ready to go. Now my main focus with this car and the next thing that I want to work towards is only the next logical thing to keep me satisfied and to keep me motivated with the build. I want to get it to fire up because we want to get this thing on the road sooner than later. Now there's going to be a bunch of things that aren't going to be finished. For example, the rear section. Everything back there is still gonna stay open. We are actually going to run this thing Fred Flintstone style for the first ride because I want to make sure everything's going to work. All the brake lines are back there, the fuel lines are back there. I want to get the exhaust ran and I want to do all that while the floor is open and exposed. Then after all that's good, buttoned up, tested, proven that it's gonna work, then I'll go ahead and build the floor. So I guess, well, let me just fill you in on what I've done since I picked up the camera last. So if you can see, obviously the motor's in here, and if you can take a look at the headers, I went ahead and I heat wrapped them because heat dissipation, I'm worried about all of that, and heat wrapping them versus ceramic coating. Heat wrapping them seemed to be the cheapest option for me at first, and I am definitely on a budget, so I think that is going to work. Now moving on to the inside of the car, what we have going on is I just have some of the wiring that I got going. Everything is passing through that hole right there, and then I just have my auxiliary heater core that's gonna be up there. This little shelf underneath is where a bunch of the wiring's gonna go. I'm gonna have my ECU there as well as a fuse box, and then maybe another cover. You're gonna have plenty of room for your feet. So all this is here, all this is ready to go. This harness is from the transmission. This is from the Holley Terminator. This is also for the Holley Terminator. We have this going to the starter. I need to get a distribution block and a whole bunch of other things. So now, making our way back around, we're going back and forth. Now that the motor's in there, I have the radiator sitting right over there. What I want to do, because I measured and I saw that I was going to have clearance to run my slim fan, and I want to run the fan as a pull style as opposed to a push style, just because it is a little bit more efficient that way. Meaning I want the fan on the inside of the engine bay on that side of the radiator pulling air through, as opposed to the fan on the outside of the engine bay on the outside of the radiator pushing air through. So it is a little bit more efficient that way. So let's go ahead, throw the radiator up in there to see if I have the room that I measured for, that I think I have, that I hope we're gonna have, that we're going to need to have. And if we don't have room, we can figure something else out. Let's just see. So with this application being so one-off and so custom, the radiator that I needed, made by Mishimoto, you can see right there, plate of authenticity right there. So this is a Mishimoto radiator. We have it on this side. We gotta switch it over to run it for Wumbo, and then that's the way that it's gonna work. I didn't have much options as far as picking out a radiator. The one that worked, Mishimoto said I can run it upside down and it is going to be just fine. Putting in brand new parts that are big and heavy, well, not heavy, but putting in big clunky parts into something that was just painted. Who cares, dude? It's fine. If it scratches it, it's alright. If you're too worried about it, it's not fun, right? You just gotta go for it. Be careful, and that's about all you can do. Alright, so just taking a look. Looks like I got pretty good amount of room. I think so. Let's see, and this is gonna be pretty low in there. Oh yeah, dude, definitely. And this fan, this was actually on the GTO already. This is just a fan that came off the car. I don't think it's OEM. I believe it's probably aftermarket because the GTO had a Mishimoto radiator setup as well. So anything that I can use off of the GTO, because obviously I had to buy the GTO, is a plus. Now I don't have to buy a slim fan. That's awesome. We definitely have room, and I can't hold this there. I have to get those little straps for it, but that's there. And this is here. Yeah, dude, there's definitely room. That's gonna be sick. easily. I mean, who would have thought that a LS and a Honda Accord, that you'd have plenty of room. Headers, we're fine. Fan, we're fine. Firewall pushed back a little bit. We're looking pretty good. And also, let me just clarify something if you're new around here. I keep mentioning the GTO. This motor, front subframe, rear subframe, axles, everything, the gas tank, shifter, everything. A whole bunch of things came from a 2004 GTO that I bought the car as an entire good running and driving car to use every single thing that I could possibly use for this project. So this car is essentially body swapped GTO Honda Accord, even though it's not because everything is so reworked, but that's essentially what it is. The suspension, I had to adapt the top to go into this style. This is actually a E36 top plate because it's adjustable camber. Well, that's all the summary or all the backstory that I'm going to give you. If you want some more information about the build, you can go back through the videos. It's like a 6-7 month project at this point. So now what I want to moving on with the trend of using things from the GTO, we have the exhaust. Now I plan on getting a better, more legit exhaust, but just to get the car going, my plan is to take all the pieces from the GTO exhaust, cut them, weld them, rework them in a way that's going to work with my Accord. So this is a perfect example right here. So where I'm already at with the car, I am right about to the differential. Now I want to do a nice 90 at the diff so that way I can get around where the gas tank is. So I don't have any 90s with any of the exhaust, but what I do have, this right here is a 45 and that right here is a 45. So the challenge is, how can I cut this, how can I cut this to make this a 90? And I mean, 45 and 45 is really 90, so really all I got to do is make a cut here, make a cut there, put this piece onto that piece, and then we will have our 90. So here we go, we have one of the 45s, the other 45, flip it around, put it together, then we got about a 90. So this is a nice, smooth, clean transition. Gonna go ahead and get this welded up, prepped out this side, prepped out that side. We'll see how this works. Alright, so that piece that I just made is a pipe that comes up right underneath the drive shaft that I do not have quite yet, so hopefully it's all gonna fit, but either way the rear end is fixed, so the drive shaft isn't gonna move up and down. Anyways, the exhaust comes right underneath the drive shaft, then it needs to go over 90 degrees, which was the first 90 degrees that I made, 90 degrees at the diff, move over a little bit more, 90 degrees again to run right underneath the frame rail, right around the gas tank. So that is put in. If you can see, let's see how well we can see. see it. And what I ended up doing is I put it in, I tacked it in, and then I welded it out a little bit more, so it's a little bit more than tacked, but it's not completely welded because I'm running a little bit low on wire, and it's my mistake for not having enough wire, but I don't want to run out before I get it finished. I'd rather finish it off than come back as opposed to running out and not being able to put on the next pieces. So if you can see, gas tank, there's the 190, and there's the other 90, and then it's finished off right there. And then I also put a little hanger on there. So now we just got to go ahead and finish it off from there. I want to go ahead and throw the bumper on. Once the bumper's put on, I can kind of get an idea of how I want it to come out the bumper, because the bumper itself, I just said bumper like 5 times, has a little cutout for the exhaust to come through. That's where I want it to come out. That's how I want it to look, and that's what makes sense to me. So with this and the exhaust, I don't know how hot boy I want it to look or how not hot boy I want it to look. I want it to be out there a little bit, but not anything too crazy. I think I gotta find a good middle balance, because this car, there's nothing mild about it. I mean, everything is wild, so the exhaust should be a little bit wild, wouldn't you say? I think. Yeah? No? Maybe? So if you can see, the cutout is right about there. So as far as the bumper and how that's gonna go, I don't really know how I feel about the exhaust tip hanging out the back. I'll show you how it looks in a little while. So I might just do a turn down for time being until I get the car going, because the good thing about all this stuff is I could always change it. You know, I don't need to commit to something and then that's the way that it has to be for life. I can change stuff. So what I'm doing now, so I'm just making an additional hanger. I need a hanger for after the header. So what I'm doing is slide my hillbilly bar over this rod. This is 3/8, I believe. Hillbilly bar. Turn it down to a 90. That looks pretty good. And then I just have this little lip up right here. I just did this again. I mean, I just did this a second ago, and then I cut it off. And the reason why we want that lip right there is so that way it's not gonna come up and slide off, but we can still get it off. If that lip is too big, it would not be able to come off. So this is gonna go on the top side, I suppose. I guess it doesn't really matter. Then I gotta make another one for the exhaust side, and then put it up exactly where I want it to be, tack it up on the chassis, pull it a little bit tight, tack it on the exhaust. That way when I let go, that should be about where it's gonna be. Suck it! So now that's that first bend, but this has to be so long. Now I just need to cut it off a little bit. And like I was saying over here, I don't really like, I was trying to fashion this in a way that I would like it, and I'm just not really feeling it. The cutout is kind of square, and the muffler being kind of round, or the exhaust tip being kind of round, I'm not a huge fan of it. So like I said, I'm just going to turn it down exactly where it is. Well, maybe the turn down itself will push it out a little bit further, and I think that'll be really cool. And also, dude, that is disgusting. That's my salt from how much I'm sweating out here in Orlando, Florida right now. I don't know what it is outside right now, but in the shop we are looking at We're looking at about 95, 96 degrees all day. My shirt is disgusting. And speaking of shirts, right now on the site, what I have is a 2-pack. It's a mystery pack. It's 2 shirts and 3 stickers, 5 items for $30. So if you go ahead and place that, there's just a limited number that I have left. And it could be from 5 different designs. So I just have a couple of this size, couple of that size, couple of this size. When you go on the site, the link will be down in the description below. You just go to it, click the mystery pack, and then all you got to do is select your size. So if your size large, I'm sure I got a couple larges that I can throw in there. It's all listed, all the inventory is kept track of. So if you see your size there, it is still there. Again, that's 5 items for $30. Who else is doing that? So the next thing I want to focus on is I want to go ahead and measure out the length that I need for my drive shaft. Now the drive shaft that was on here before, well, not on here, but the relationship between the transmission and the rear differential, those were together before, and that was on the GTO, but that was a 2-piece drive shaft, and I'm not going to go with that style. I want to go with a more traditional style, a 1-piece with U-joints on the end, as opposed to those big rubber gibi, whatever they're called. So I just got to go ahead and get that measured, and with this, we want to go, I don't know if you can even hear me, we want to go seal to flange. Seal on the transmission and flange on the differential. 49 3/4. Alright, so it's 49 3/4, and I'm going to actually go back to the video to remember this because I'm saying it right now. I would usually write it down, but the reason why the drive shaft shop, or the place that I'm going to get it to, they need to know the measurement. So that measurement is 49 3/4, but the drive shaft itself is not going to exactly be 49 3/4. It's going to be a little bit less, so that way it can slip all the way into the slip yoke and then come back just a little bit. If it was the exact right size, you wouldn't be able to install it or uninstall it. So 49 3/4 is the measurement they need to go. The drive shaft that they are going to make and give me is not going to be 49 3/4. Since the engine bay's been painted, since the motor's been in it, it has not seen the sunlight. I just kind of want to get it outside and take a look at it. Make me a little bit more motivated to get it rolling. I cannot wait to get this thing going. And speaking of going, my goal for the next video, actually my goal for tomorrow, so that video should be up sooner than later. I know it's been a little while in between each video, but my goal for the next video is to get this thing fired up. Now, it's not going to be running for the final time. We just want to make sure the motor will run after it was completely rebuilt. And once we know it can run, then we're going to run everything finalized. Got to get that drive shaft made. And we gotta make the maiden voyage ASAP, because that's gonna be crazy. So as far as this video, I think that's gonna be it for this one, you guys. Sorry, I know it's been a little while. Like this video, comment, subscribe. Check out the link down below for the merch that I talked about, because that is going on right now, if it is still there. And I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.